The silence of Elias Thorne's penthouse apartment in Neo-Metropolis was typically a soothing balm, a pristine echo of his own meticulously ordered mind. Tonight, however, it felt like the walls were closing in, the sleek, minimalist design of his smart home now amplifying a disquiet that had slowly, insidiously, taken root. 3 years. 3 years since he'd sold his first major software venture. 3 years since the frantic grind of bootstrapping a startup had given way to the hollow hum of financial security. He was 32, absurdly wealthy by most standards, and utterly alone. His vast high-rise abode, perched like a sentinel overlooking the glittering sprawl of the hyper-connected city, was a testament to his success, yet it lacked the warmth of a life truly lived. Every device was synced, every system automated, every light responsive to his mood. Yet, the deep-seated yearning for something more, something genuine, something beyond algorithms and data points, had remained elusive. He'd tried everything: personal chefs who fussed, assistants who floundered, therapists who nodded. Nothing could fill the void, or perhaps, nothing could quite manage the sheer, overwhelming complexity of his own exacting standards. His solution, he had reasoned, lay in ultimate efficiency. If his external world was perfectly managed, perhaps his internal one would follow suit. That's where the bespoke Maid service came in. Not just any service, but Aura Grace, an exclusive, ultra-luxe agency catering to the absurdly rich and notoriously demanding. Their star performer, a woman named Kaelen Vance, came with a price tag that made even Elias, accustomed to excess, blink, $3,000 a week. But the testimonials spoke of perfection, a seamless integration into the most complex smart home ecosystems, a silent, almost invisible presence that elevated mere domesticity into an art form. Elias, ever the pragmatist, saw it as an investment in his peace of mind. The day Kaelen Vance arrived, the apartment seemed to hold its breath. Elias, perpetually dressed in bespoke casual wear, had been reviewing holographic projections of his company's quarterly reports when the chime of the door, a melodic 3-note sequence, announced her. He'd braced himself for the usual, an overly deferential individual, perhaps a little intimidated by his empire of glass and silicon. What he got was different. Kaelen Vance stood framed in the doorway, a vision of understated elegance. Her uniform was less a uniform and more a tailored ensemble, dark gray fabric that seemed to absorb the light, cut with precision, highlighting a figure both slender and athletic. Her hair, the color of polished mahogany, was pulled back into a severe, intricate braid that defied a single strand out of place. But it was her eyes that truly held him, a startling shade of jade green, direct and piercing, utterly devoid of the usual obsequiousness. They assessed him, not with judgment, but with an almost scientific detachment, as if scanning a new dataset. "Mr. Thorne," she stated, her voice a low, modulated alto, perfectly calm, perfectly clear. "Kaelen Vance. I'm here to optimize your living environment. Optimize. Not clean, not manage. Optimize." Elias found himself intrigued. He simply gestured her in, the smart door gliding shut behind her with a soft sigh. And thus began the era of Kaelen Vance. From the first moment, she was nothing short of miraculous. She moved through his sprawling apartment with a silent grace that defied the laws of physics. Elias's high-tech home, which often felt like an extension of his own demanding intellect, bent to her will with startling alacrity. She didn't just learn his routines, she seemed to intuit them. The ambient lighting in his study would shift to a warmer hue precisely when he leaned back from his monitor, indicating a break. His bespoke herbal tea, prepared to a specific temperature and steeped for exactly 3 minutes, would appear beside him moments after a particularly grueling video conference. The faint scent of jasmine, his preferred stress reliever, would subtly permeate the air as he meditated in the zero-gravity relaxation pod. She interfaced with the apartment's central AI, Helios, with an ease that even Elias, its primary architect, sometimes struggled to match. Helios, usually a rather laconic digital assistant, seemed to hum with new purpose under Kaelen's direction, responding to her succinct commands with a noticeable eagerness. It was as if she spoke the native tongue of his own systems. Helios, adjust particulate filtration to 99.8 in the West Wing. Mr. Thorne's allergies typically spike in the late afternoon during this season, she'd murmur, her voice barely above a whisper, yet Helios would comply instantly. Elias, a man who prided himself on control, found himself slowly, undeniably, relaxing. His meticulous apartment became even more so, yet it was no longer sterile. There was a subtle rightness to everything, an underlying harmony that he hadn't known was missing. His life became a symphony of perfect anticipations, every need met before it fully formed in his conscious mind. He slept better, worked with sharper focus, and for the first time in years, the crushing weight of isolation seemed to lighten. But then, the quiet hum began to change. The perfection, initially so comforting, started to feel heavy. It began subtly, almost imperceptibly. He'd catch her gaze across the expanse of the living area, not a casual glance, but an intense, prolonged observation, her jade eyes like sensors, processing every micro-expression, every subtle shift in his posture. When he met her eyes, she would offer a small, polite nod, a faint, almost imperceptible curve of her lips that was too brief to be a smile, yet too deliberate to be accidental. He noticed small things. A specific book, one he'd been thinking about rereading, would be left on his nightstand, its cover subtly angled towards his side of the bed. A rare vinyl record, an obscure jazz artist he'd mentioned once in passing months ago to Lena, his investigative journalist contact, would be playing softly on the apartment's high-fidelity audio system as he returned from a late meeting. He hadn't bought it, and he certainly hadn't asked Kaelen to source it. He dismissed them at first. Coincidence. Exceptional service. Or Grace promised bespoke care after all. Perhaps she had access to his public social media profiles, or used sophisticated algorithms to predict his interests. He was a tech magnate, he understood data mining. But the feeling persisted. A pervasive sense of being known, not merely observed, but deeply, intimately understood, to a degree that began to feel intrusive. He'd often find objects in his apartment not just cleaned, but subtly rearranged in a way that spoke to a profound understanding of his habits, his preferences, even his emotional attachments. A small, tarnished silver locket, a relic from his late mother, which he kept tucked away in a hidden compartment of his desk, would be back in its place, but its surface would gleam with a fresh polish he hadn't requested, its worn chain carefully coiled. It wasn't the polish that unnerved him, but the fact that she had found it, known it was special enough to polish, and returned it to its secret spot. One evening, Elias decided to test her. He was preparing for a critical board meeting, his mind a swirl of complex projections. He thought, with a sudden, whimsical urge, of an obscure, hyper-specific energy drink. It was a limited edition blend, discontinued years ago, that he'd indulged in during his most intense coding sprints in his startup days. He hadn't had it in years, hadn't spoken of it to anyone. It was a memory, a phantom craving. He deliberately did not voice the thought, did not search for it online, did not make any discernible movement that would betray the nascent desire. He worked late into the night. As the holographic projections finally faded, and he leaned back, rubbing his temples, he heard the soft, almost inaudible whir of a drone approaching. It hovered beside his desk. On its small, metallic tray sat a chilled bottle. It was the energy drink. The exact brand, the precise, discontinued limited edition, its label perfectly preserved. It felt cool and slick against his palm. Elias stared at the bottle, then at the empty space where Kaelen usually stood, her presence typically dissolving before he was fully aware of her departure. He felt a chill that had nothing to do with the frosty glass in his hand. This wasn't service. This wasn't observation. This was something far, far beyond. It felt like an invasion, a meticulous charting of his every subconscious desire, every latent memory. He looked up at the ceiling, at the integrated smart lights, the hidden cameras that he himself had designed for optimal security and convenience. He'd trusted them. He'd built them. Now, for the first time, his own perfectly managed home felt less like a sanctuary and more like a beautifully appointed cage. He reached for his comm link, his thumb hovering over Lena Petrova's contact. He needed answers. What kind of maid could anticipate a desire he hadn't even consciously articulated? What kind of maid could procure a discontinued item from years ago without a single verbal prompt? The question echoed in the sudden, deafening silence of his apartment. Who exactly was Kaelen Vance, and what, truly, was she doing here? Elias Thorne had always prided himself on his impeccable logic, his ability to dissect complex problems into manageable algorithms. His 3K maid, Kaelen Vance, was rapidly becoming a problem that defied his usual methods. Her perfection, once a soothing balm, now felt like a suffocating shroud. It began subtly enough. A stray coffee cup, left on his bedside table, would invariably be placed on the exact coaster Elias had chosen for the living room, even if he'd simply set it down for a moment. His smart home's temperature, usually adjusted by voice command, now seemed to anticipate his preferences, settling on a precise 21.5 degrees Celsius an hour before he returned from his morning run. A preference Kaelen had somehow divined without him ever articulating it. His bespoke protein shake, which he sometimes experimented with, now consistently featured the exact blend of berries and vegan protein he'd declared optimal a week ago. These weren't just efficient adjustments. They felt invasive. As if Kaelen wasn't just managing his home, but managing him. One Tuesday morning, Elias found his custom-built gaming rig, a behemoth of brushed aluminum and holographic displays, subtly rearranged. A new, slender USB-C hub sat nestled in a previously empty port, its sleek obsidian finish almost invisible against the dark casing. He hadn't bought it. He hadn't installed it. When he questioned Kaelen, her eyes, usually an unwavering sapphire, flickered for the barest fraction of a second. Mr. Thorne, she said, her voice a melodic hum. I noticed the previous hub was a little cumbersome. This model offers superior data transfer rates and power delivery for your peripherals. I took the liberty of ordering it, deducting the expense from your weekly service fee. I believe efficiency is paramount, even in leisure. Elias stared at the hub, then at her. He valued efficiency, yes, but this level of proactive intrusion, coupled with the assumption of financial autonomy, was unprecedented. It was a violation of his meticulously established boundaries. Yet her explanation, delivered with such confident authority, almost disarmed him. Almost. Kaelen, he began, his voice firmer than he intended. While I appreciate the thought, I prefer to manage my own hardware. Please consult me before making any such purchases or installations in the future. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched her lips, a ghost of an expression. Of course, Mr. Thorne. My apologies. I merely wish to ensure your system operated at peak performance. My service is, after all, about anticipating your needs. The exchange left a sour taste in his mouth. He was a man who designed complex systems, not one who appreciated his own system being subtly overridden. He spent the rest of the day feeling a prickle of unease, a sensation he hadn't experienced since his early startup days when cash flow was a constant threat. This was different. This was a threat to his control, to his very sense of self in his sanctuary. Over the next few days, Kaelen's presence became a palpable weight. He'd find her standing silently in the periphery of a room, watching him, her gaze intense, assessing. His private moments felt less so. He started to notice patterns in her cleaning schedule, specifically, that she seemed to linger longest in his study, the heart of his digital domain, and his bedroom, the sanctum of his personal life. His analytical mind, usually so adept at filtering noise, began to register these anomalies as data points. Too many coincidences. Too much intimate knowledge. He started to feel like a specimen under a microscope, his life curated not for his comfort, but for someone else's observation. One evening, after Kaelen had departed, leaving his apartment in its customary state of pristine order, Elias decided to conduct his own audit. He started with the basics. His router logs. His smart home network's traffic analysis. He built these systems. He knew their quirks. He found nothing overtly suspicious. No unauthorized devices, no unusual bandwidth spikes. Kaelen was good. Too good, perhaps. She must be using existing infrastructure, or something so low profile it wouldn't trip his standard alarms. He paced, the polished floor cold beneath his bare feet. If he were to surveil someone in a smart home like this, where would he put it? Not in plain sight. Not on the network. He'd use power lines, obscure frequencies, or inject code into existing, trusted devices. His gaze swept across the living room, a symphony of minimalist design and cutting-edge tech. The wall-mounted smart display, usually a benign portal to news feeds and environmental controls, seemed to hum with a subtle energy. Its frame was sleek, barely a centimeter thick, blending seamlessly with the polished chrome of the wall mounts. Elias walked over, running his fingers along the cool metal. He activated a diagnostic overlay. All systems nominal. But something about the flush fit, the way the display met the wall, felt too perfect. He remembered installing it himself, a painstaking process to ensure every wire was hidden, every seam invisible. He knew the tolerances. He went to his toolkit, retrieving a precision laser caliper. Measuring the depth of the display, he compared it to the architectural schematics he kept digitally. A discrepancy. Minuscule, but present. A millimeter. Less than that. His brow furrowed. No manufacturing defect would be so precise, so uniform across the entire frame. It was as if the display had been pushed outwards, infinitesimally, by something behind it. Heart pounding with a sudden, icy clarity, Elias deactivated the smart display and carefully began to unmount it. The magnetic locks clicked open, the heavy panel tilting away from the wall. Behind it, nestled in the cavity that housed the power conduits and data lines, wasn't the expected tangle of wires. Instead, a custom fabricated housing of matte black composite material was securely fixed to the wall, perfectly camouflaged against the dark recess. It was about the size of a small brick, bristling with an array of tiny, almost imperceptible lenses, microphones, and what looked like microantennas. The power cable snaked discreetly into the apartment's main power grid, bypassing his smart energy monitoring. A separate, ultra-thin fiber optic cable, hair-thin and nearly invisible, fed into a dedicated port on the building's internal network, completely bypassing his personal router. This wasn't a casual bug. This was a state-of-the-art, professionally installed surveillance hub, seamlessly integrated into the very structure of his luxury apartment. It was designed to watch, listen, and transmit data without leaving a trace on his personal network. Elias felt a cold dread seep into his bones, worse than any startup failure. His sanctuary, his fortress of efficiency, had been utterly compromised. Not by some anonymous hacker in the digital ether, but by the woman he had invited into his home, the woman whose unsettling gaze now made perfect, terrifying sense. Kaelen Vance wasn't just his maid. She was an infiltrator. And the implications of that realization were far more profound than any misplaced coffee cup. He stared at the hidden device, its cold, silent lenses seeming to mock his every assumption. Why him? What did she want? And more terrifyingly, what was she planning to do with everything she'd seen and heard within his golden cage? He carefully touched one of the tiny lenses, and a faint, almost imperceptible warmth radiated from the device, a chilling reminder that it had been active. Watching. Listening. This entire time. His smart home, once a symbol of his control, now felt like a gilded prison, and he was the unwilling inmate. The thought brought a shiver down his spine. He had to know everything. And he had to do it before she realized he knew. Before she made her next move. The metallic gleam of the microcamera in Elias's palm felt colder than the frosty logic that had always guided his life. His meticulously curated apartment, once a bastion of order and privacy, now felt like a stage, every corner potentially observed, every whisper captured. The betrayal was a visceral burn, a searing heat beneath his skin, far more potent than any digital intrusion he'd ever faced. This wasn't a corporate hack. This was personal, intimate. This was Kaelen. He found her in the kitchen, wiping down the polished quartz counter with a microfiber cloth, her movements as fluid and precise as ever. The soft, ambient light of the smart kitchen reflected off her pristine uniform, making her seem almost ethereal, untouchable. His gaze, however, was no longer reverent. It was accusatory, sharp. Kaelen. His voice was low, strained, the syllables edged with a controlled fury. She paused, her hand hovering over the counter, then slowly turned. Her eyes, usually so placid and observant, held a flicker of something he couldn't quite place. Recognition? Resignation? Yes, Mr. Thorne? Her voice was calm, almost melodious, a stark contrast to the tumult in his mind. Elias walked towards her, his footsteps echoing too loudly in the sudden silence. He held out his hand, palm open, displaying the miniature device. It sat there, a silent, damning accusation. Care to explain this? Kaelen's gaze dropped to the camera, then lifted to his face. For the first time, Elias saw a genuine crack in her perfect facade. A tiny muscle twitched in her jaw. Her lips, usually set in a faint, pleasant curve, pressed into a thin line. She didn't deny it. She didn't even try. It's a necessary precaution, Mr. Thorne, she said, her voice dropping to a lower register, losing some of its cultivated cheerfulness. A precaution? Elias scoffed, a short, bitter sound. Against what? Dust bunnies? Or perhaps me? You've been spying on me, Kaelen. In my own home. Everything I do, everything I say, every private moment, you've been watching. The thought made his skin crawl. The very foundation of his carefully constructed life, built on the premise of absolute control, had been utterly compromised. I assure you, my intentions were not malicious, she countered, her voice firmer now, regaining some of its usual composure, though the subtle tension around her eyes remained. Only to understand my environment. And you, to understand me? Elias laughed, a humorless, choked sound. At 3,000 a week, I expected a maid, Kaelen. Not a goddamn spook. You've violated my privacy, my trust, everything. Who are you really? The question hung in the air, heavy and loaded. Kaelen met his gaze directly, her eyes still holding that unsettling intensity. My name is Kaelen Vance. Elias blinked. The name struck a faint chord, a distant memory of corporate headlines, but he couldn't quite place it. Vance? That's not what was on your background checks. The agency swore by you. Who are you really working for, Kaelen? Is this some industrial espionage stunt? Are you after my company's algorithms? He felt a fresh wave of panic, his mind scrambling to comprehend the scope of the potential damage. Kaelen shook her head slowly. No, Mr. Thorne. I am not after your company. I am running from mine. Or rather, from my father's. She paused, a flicker of what looked like genuine fear crossing her face, quickly suppressed. Silas Vance. The name hit Elias like a physical blow. Silas Vance. The cold, ruthless CEO of Aegis Solutions. The tech giant whose biometrics division was whispered to be pushing ethical boundaries, whose corporate espionage tactics were legendary. Elias had seen the headlines, heard the rumors. Aegis Solutions was not just a powerful corporation, it was a shadow empire. Silas Vance. Elias repeated, his voice barely a whisper. The pieces were starting to click into place, forming a picture far more terrifying than simple corporate theft. You're his daughter? She nodded. I am. And I'm not just running from him. I'm hiding from him. Hiding. Elias's mind raced. From Silas Vance? Why would you need to hide from your own father? And why here? Why me? The questions tumbled out, each one laced with a desperate need for understanding. Kaelen took a deep breath, her gaze sweeping over the smart kitchen, lingering on the sleek, seamless surfaces, the integrated displays. My father is not like other men, Mr. Thorne. He sees people not as individuals, but as assets. Resources to be leveraged. And I am his most valuable asset. Her voice was devoid of pride, instead tinged with a chilling resignation. What kind of asset? Elias pressed, a knot of dread tightening in his stomach. He remembered the summary of her biosecurity capabilities. What did that even mean? It's complicated, she said, looking away for a moment, her eyes fixed on something unseen. A unique genetic anomaly. A facility with complex biometrics, a natural intuition for digital security systems. My father believes I am the key to the next generation of Aegis's dominance. He wants to control it, to weaponize it, to use me. Elias felt a chill that had nothing to do with the apartment's climate control. He'd built his company on code, on logic. This was something else entirely, genetic, biological, terrifyingly personal. Weaponize you? What does that even mean? It means he wants to harness my abilities to break into any secure system, to bypass any biometric lock, to control vast networks of data. To have an unparalleled advantage in corporate espionage, in national security, in everything. Her voice was flat, detached, as if reciting a well-rehearsed explanation. I refused. I left. And he's been hunting me ever since. But why me? Elias repeated, the core of his anger still revolving around the violation of his sanctuary. Of all the places in Neometropolis, why infiltrate my home? Why pretend to be my maid? Kaelen finally met his gaze again, and this time, there was a different kind of intensity in her eyes. Not just defiance, but something possessive, almost predatory, yet undeniably earnest. You represent order, Mr. Thorne. Efficiency. A mind that respects logic and structure. Your apartment is a fortress of advanced technology, yet paradoxically, it relies on trust for its operation. It's the perfect place to hide in plain sight. No one would expect the daughter of Silas Vance to be meticulously cleaning toilets. A ghost of a smile, cold and knowing, touched her lips. And the surveillance? Elias demanded, pushing past the unnerving justification. Was that part of your hiding strategy? Partly, she admitted. I needed to understand your routines, your habits, your vulnerabilities. To integrate seamlessly. To know if you were trustworthy. To ensure this place truly was a sanctuary, not just for me, but for us. The word us hung in the air, a chilling implication. My father's reach is extensive. His enforcers are relentless. I needed to know if this haven could protect me, and if the man who owned it could be someone I could rely on. Elias stared at her, utterly speechless. She hadn't just chosen him as a hideout. She had chosen him as a shield, a partner, an extension of her own desperate flight. The perfect maid wasn't just a facade, it was a calculated assimilation. Her obsession wasn't just with her task, it was with him, as a component of her escape, perhaps even as the new anchor for her shattered life. You don't understand the danger you've brought upon yourself, Mr. Thorne, Kaelen continued, her voice gaining an urgent edge. My father won't stop. He views failure as an aberration. And now that I'm gone, he'll be more desperate than ever. He's closing in. He always does. Elias felt a cold dread seep into his bones, replacing his initial fury. He had built his entire existence on carefully controlled variables, on eliminating risk. Now he was embroiled in a high-stakes corporate war, targeted by one of the most ruthless men in the world, all because he hired a maid. His perfect, golden cage had shattered, revealing a dangerous, unpredictable world beyond its gilded bars. What exactly does closing in mean, Kaelen? He asked, his voice barely a whisper, a desperate plea for clarity in the sudden chaos. Kaelen's eyes, usually so composed, darted to the large panoramic window overlooking Neometropolis, then back to Elias. It means he's likely already identified my last known location. It means he's deployed his assets. It means they'll be here soon. Before Elias could process the chilling implication, his smart home system, the very technology he had trusted to protect his privacy, flickered. A soft chime echoed through the apartment, followed by an automated, synthesized voice, calm and precise, yet suddenly terrifying. Anomaly detected. Unauthorized external network probe initiated. Source location, Block 7, Sector Gamma. Estimated time to breach perimeter, T-3 minutes. Elias's head snapped up, his heart hammering against his ribs. Block 7, Sector Gamma. That was directly across the plaza. His golden cage was not just compromised, it was under direct assault. He looked at Kaelen, her face now stark with grim certainty. His meticulously ordered life had just descended into a digital battlefield. The air in Elias's penthouse, usually pristine and controlled, now thrummed with a new, terrifying frequency. Kaelen's confession, Not his maid, but Kaelen Vance, heiress, infiltrator, and the source of his profound unease, hung heavy between them. My father, he's not just looking for me, Elias. He's looking for this, Kaelen said, her eyes, usually placid jade, now glinting with a feral intensity. She gestured vaguely at herself, then to the complex, almost organic-looking biometric scanner beside Elias's office door, a system even he hadn't been able to fully reverse engineer. He built Aegis solutions around it. Around me. Before Elias could fully process her claim, a sudden, jarring chime echoed through the apartment. Not a visitor's bell, but a harsh, grating alarm that ripped through the smart home's usual tranquil notifications. His tablet, lying on the minimalist coffee table, flared red. Perimeter breach. Main living area. Forcible entry detected. The AI's synthesized voice, usually calm, sounded strained. Kaelen's head snapped up, her composure solidifying into something cold and deadly. They're here. Elias felt a cold dread claw its way up his throat. But how? My security systems are advanced, yes, Kaelen finished, moving with a predator's grace towards a sleek, integrated wall panel. Her fingers flew across the holographic display, bypassing Elias's admin protocols with startling ease. But my father built them. He knows their weaknesses better than anyone. And he knows my weaknesses. A loud thump reverberated from the living room, followed by the shattering of one of the reinforced panoramic windows. Air rushed in, bringing the acrid scent of ozone and something metallic. Dark figures, clad in tactical gear, swarmed in, faces obscured by helmets, movements precise and ruthless. Professionals. Get down. Kaelen barked, pulling Elias sharply behind the robust, curved marble counter of his open kitchen. Elias, disoriented, stumbled. He was a software architect, not a soldier. His world was code, not violent invasion. Yet, Kaelen moved with a fluid decisiveness that bespoke a dangerous familiarity with chaos. She snatched a heavy, ornate vase, a designer piece, and hurled it with surprising force, embedding it deeply into the chest plate of the lead enforcer who had just breached the counter. The man grunted, momentarily stunned. My father wants me alive, Kaelen whispered, her voice low and tight, eyes scanning the room. He won't risk collateral damage if he can avoid it. But his enforcers won't hesitate to neutralize threats. Her gaze locked onto Elias, which right now means you. Panic threatened, but Kaelen's steely resolve was infectious. Adrenaline sharpened his focus. He heard the heavy thud of boots, the rhythmic click of weapons being primed. My system can lock down exits, activate deterrence, Elias said, scrambling to mentally interface with his smart home's combat protocols. They'll bypass it, Kaelen dismissed, curtly. They're inside the network. My father's team is legendary for zero-day exploits. We need to get out now. She pointed to the service elevator access panel, hidden discreetly behind a movable piece of abstract art. Maintenance shaft. It's less secure, less monitored. A blind spot, even for Aegis. As they moved, two more enforcers rounded the corner. Kaelen didn't hesitate. She grabbed Elias's arm, yanked him around, then used his momentum to spin and kick a potted ficus into the face of the first assailant. Before the second could react, she swept a hand across the smart counter, activating a high-frequency sonic deterrent that momentarily disoriented them. My father designed these systems to identify and exploit specific biosignatures, Kaelen explained rapidly as they ducked behind the art piece. He built a biometric architecture that is both his strength and his greatest vulnerability. My own. I am the master key, Elias. Her fingers danced over the service panel. Elias watched, mesmerized, as the holographic interface flickered, responding to her touch with a speed and fluidity he'd never seen before, not even from his own administrative access. She wasn't just typing commands. She was sculpting the data, bending the system to her will with an almost intuitive grace. Biometric locks that would have taken him hours to crack dissolved under her touch like sugar in water. It was like watching a master musician coaxing impossibly complex melodies from an instrument, except her instrument was his entire digital infrastructure. The hidden door to the service shaft hissed open. Inside, Elias. "Quickly," she urged, pushing him through. He scrambled into the narrow, dimly lit shaft, the air thick with dust and machine oil. Kaelen followed, sealing the door behind them with another flurry of impossibly fast inputs, overriding the system's auto-seal to ensure it remained locked. "How did you do that?" Elias breathed, his voice hoarse, staring at her with a mixture of terror and utter awe. The full implications of "I am the master key" suddenly clicked. Kaelen turned, her face illuminated by the faint emergency lights of the shaft. Her eyes, still intensely focused, met his. "My genetic markers, Elias. My unique biometrics. They are integrated into the core architecture of every Aegis Solutions security system. My father engineered it that way. He calls it the Vance Protocol. I am the ultimate lock and the ultimate key." She paused, a shadow crossing her features. "He believes he can control me, use me to unlock anything, anyone. To create an impenetrable biosecurity empire." The air in the shaft seemed to hum with this new revelation. Elias, a man who built his empire on understanding complex systems, was looking at a living, breathing paradox. Kaelen wasn't just a brilliant hacker. She was a biological interface, a walking, talking zero-day exploit. Her very existence made every Aegis system, every biometrically secured facility, every data vault, vulnerable to her will. This wasn't just corporate espionage, it was an arms race for a living weapon. "He wants to weaponize you," Elias stated, the realization hitting him with the force of a physical blow. Kaelen nodded grimly. "He already has. In a way. He's spent years trying to perfect the methods to extract my capabilities, to replicate them, to transfer them. He wants to clone me, Elias. Or at least, clone the part of me that makes me valuable." Her voice, though calm, held an undertone of chilling fear. The elevator shaft began to shudder. Kaelen had evidently hijacked the controls, sending them plummeting down through the building's service conduits. Elias could hear the distant, muffled sounds of the enforcers above, the frustrated shouts. The shaft finally shuddered to a halt, several levels below the ground floor, in a rarely used subterranean maintenance bay. The air was colder, thick with the smell of damp concrete and stagnant water. "There's a utility tunnel here," Kaelen explained, gesturing to a reinforced grate. "It runs parallel to the main subway lines, connecting to an old, abandoned sewage network. It's filthy, dangerous, but Aegis's sensors are tuned for human-sized thermal signatures in commercial zones, not vermin in the forgotten depths." Elias stared at the grate, then at Kaelen, her face smudged with dust, but her eyes burning with unshakable resolve. His perfectly ordered life had been shattered, rebuilt into a desperate, dangerous alliance with a Yandere heiress whose very DNA was a corporate weapon. He was no longer just an isolated entrepreneur. He was entangled in a web of corporate espionage, facing a ruthless CEO, with a woman whose terrifying obsession was also their greatest asset. "All right," Elias said, pushing down his fear, replacing it with grim determination. "Lead the way, Vance. Let's go make your father regret teaching you so well." He watched as Kaelen smiled, a faint, chilling curve of her lips that held more triumph than warmth. It was the smile of someone who had found not just a protector, but a willing participant in her dangerous stance. Elias realized, with a jolt, that his golden cage had just expanded, and he was no longer alone in it. They were both trapped, but together, they might just have a chance to break free. The stale scent of ozone and singed circuits still clung to the air in Elias's penthouse, a stark reminder of the close call. His smart home, usually an impenetrable fortress, had been breached, its digital skin torn. Kaelen, surprisingly, was the one moving with quiet purpose, patching minor data leaks, her fingers dancing across a portable console with an efficiency that belied her Maid persona and revealed the brilliant engineer beneath. Elias watched her, a knot of conflicting emotions tightening in his gut. Fear, certainly, but also a burgeoning respect, and something else, a reluctant fascination. "Silas won't give up," Kaelen stated, her voice calm, almost detached, as a holographic display flickered to life, showing a complex network diagram. "That attack was merely a probe. He's testing our defenses, assessing my current loyalties. Her gaze, sharp and analytical, flickered to Elias. He believes he can still retrieve me, or at least my capabilities. Elias ran a hand through his hair, the adrenaline from the previous night still prickling his nerves. Capabilities. We need to be specific, Kaelen. What exactly is it your father wants to weaponize? Kaelen hesitated, a rare moment of vulnerability flickering in her eyes before it was swiftly masked. My unique genetic markers allow for an unprecedented interface with biometric systems. Not just recognition, but manipulation. I can predict, even subtly influence, biometric authentication protocols. It's why Aegis Solutions' Veritas system is considered unbreachable. It's based on algorithms I unconsciously contributed to during my forced RD tenure. She paused, her voice hardening. Silas wants to scale it, create a global biosecurity monopoly where he holds the master key to every identity. Elias felt a cold dread creep up his spine. This wasn't just corporate espionage, it was digital godhood. So you're a living skeleton key. He walked to the panoramic window, looking out at the glittering spires of Neometropolis, a city built on data. How do we fight that? He controls the very infrastructure. We use his ambition against him, Kaelen replied, her voice gaining a dangerous edge. He is arrogant, certain of his invincibility. Veritas has one blind spot. It relies on my inherent biometrics, but also my current physiological state. If I were to expose a flaw, even a subtle one, it would propagate throughout his entire system. Elias turned, a plan beginning to form in his mind. A self-fulfilling prophecy. You'd exploit a vulnerability that only you could create, based on a system only you could truly understand. He pulled out his own secure comms device. But we can't do it alone. We need an outside voice. Someone to make sure this isn't just swallowed by the corporate machine. He quickly patched a call through to Lena. Her face, framed by a messy bun and a perpetually cynical smirk, appeared on his calm screen. Thorn, I heard things got exciting over at your smart palace. Her eyes darted behind him, picking up Kaelen's presence instantly. Is that your impossibly perfect maid? Or the corporate escapee I've been hearing whispers about? Lena, not now, Elias urged. We have a chance to take down Silas Vance. Kaelen has vital intel on Aegis's Veritas system. She can expose a systemic vulnerability. But we need a platform and leverage. Lena's smirk vanished, replaced by a hawk-like intensity. Vance? Veritas? That's big. Too big for just a blog post. We need indisputable proof, something that hits him where it hurts, his market value, his public image. Elias nodded. And we need it broadcast widely fast, before he can cover it up. Just then, Lena's comm buzzed, a second incoming call from an encrypted line. Hold on, Thorn. This might be relevant. She switched the call, and Detective Anya Sharma's grave, experienced face appeared in a smaller window beside Lena's. Anya, perfect timing, Lena said, quickly briefing the detective. We're talking about taking down Silas Vance and Aegis. Kaelen here has the key. Anya's gaze, sharp and assessing, fixed on Kaelen. Silas Vance has been untouchable for years. Many have tried. What makes this different? Kaelen stepped forward, her voice clear and unwavering. Veritas is my intellectual property, refined and weaponized by him. I can introduce a phantom anomaly, a ghost in the machine that exposes the system's fundamental weakness in real time. It won't break Veritas entirely, but it will prove its fallibility, triggering a cascading loss of confidence. Anya leaned back, a thoughtful expression on her face. A targeted, public vulnerability demonstration. Bold. But you'll need a stage. And protection. She looked at Elias. Thorn, this isn't just about exposing a corporation. It's about protecting Kaelen from a man who sees her as property. Elias felt a surge of protectiveness he hadn't known he possessed. He looked at Kaelen, her intense gaze meeting his. We have a plan. Kaelen can access a live feed of Aegis's system during their upcoming quarterly security review, which is streamed globally. We use that platform. A live demonstration during the quarterly review, Anya murmured, then nodded slowly. Risky. But if it works, it'll be devastating. She turned to Lena. You prepare the narrative. highlight the ethical implications, the danger of a single entity controlling global biosecurity, and Kaelen's coerced involvement. Thorn, you need to set up a secure, untraceable broadcast link completely outside Aegis's network. Kaelen, you prepare the anomaly. Make it undeniable. The next 72 hours blurred into a frantic dance of code, research, and clandestine communication. Elias, using his deep understanding of digital infrastructure, created a ghost network, routing their signal through a labyrinth of public and dark web servers, making it virtually untraceable. Lena, fueled by strong coffee and righteous anger, crafted a damning expose, cross-referencing Kaelen's intel with Anya's historical data on Aegis's dubious practices. Kaelen, meanwhile, moved with the quiet focus of a surgeon, crafting the digital Trojan horse that would bring Veritas to its knees. "It's ready," Kaelen announced, her voice barely a whisper, as the Aegis Solutions quarterly review began streaming on Elias's main screen. Silas Vance, looking impeccably suave and radiating ruthless confidence, was already on stage, praising the unbreachable security of Veritas. Elias's heart hammered against his ribs. This was it. "Lena, stand by." "Anya, confirm the broadcast channels." "Ready on my end," Lena confirmed, her fingers hovering over her keyboard. "Channels are open." "No trace back to you yet," Anya's voice crackled. "Now, Kaelen," Elias urged, his gaze fixed on her. Her eyes were locked onto the screen, a singular intensity burning within them. He could feel her focus, a palpable energy in the room. Kaelen took a deep breath, her slender fingers flying across the custom console. On Elias's screen, a subtle flicker appeared on the Veritas system's graphic representation behind Silas. An almost imperceptible ripple, like a stone dropped into a perfectly still pond. Then, Lena's voice erupted, loud and clear, cutting through the smug pronouncements of Silas Vance. Her meticulously crafted expose, complete with Kaelen's leaked design schematics and data points, began to stream alongside the corporate review, superimposed with real-time analysis of the Veritas system. On screen, Silas's smile faltered. His eyes, usually cold and calculating, darted to the Veritas system display behind him. The ripple was growing, twisting, morphing into a series of red flags. Anomaly detected, integrity compromised, systemic vulnerability identified. "What is this?" Silas roared, his voice betraying a hint of panic. His security detail surged forward, trying to cut the feed, but Elias's ghost network was too robust. Lena's words, backed by Anya's historical evidence, detailed how Veritas, a system touted as infallible, contained a deliberate, exploitable flaw, introduced by its very architect, Kaelen Vance, who had been coerced and imprisoned by her own father. Panic rippled through the live audience. Stock prices, displayed on tickers at the bottom of the screen, plummeted. The Veritas system, Aegis's crown jewel, was being publicly unmasked as a gilded cage, built by a victim for her captor. Silas, his face contorted in a mask of impotent fury, lunged for a microphone, but it was too late. The damage was done. The truth, meticulously crafted and flawlessly executed, had been unleashed. In the quiet of Elias's penthouse, Kaelen slowly eased back from the console, her shoulders slumping. The intense focus drained from her, leaving her looking utterly exhausted. Elias watched her, the chaotic joy of victory mixing with a profound understanding. She wasn't just a maid or a brilliant heiress. She was a survivor, a weapon, and an artist, all wrapped in one unnervingly perfect package. He walked over to her, reaching out a hand, then hesitated, remembering her intensity, her possessive gazes. But this time, she looked up, her eyes meeting his, not with an unnerving scrutiny, but with a raw vulnerability that startled him. "It's done," she whispered, a tremor in her voice. "He's exposed." "We did it," Kaelen, Elias said, his voice surprisingly steady. He finally extended his hand, not to console, but to acknowledge. "We did it." She looked at his outstretched hand, then slowly, almost tentatively, placed her own in his. Her touch was cool, but firm. In that moment, Elias realized the full extent of his transformation. The insulated shell he had built around himself, the golden cage of his own making, had been irrevocably shattered. Kaelen, the infiltrator, the danger, had also been the catalyst. He no longer craved the sterile peace of isolation. He wanted vigilance, yes, but he also wanted connection. A real, complicated, terrifyingly genuine bond, even if it came with the constant hum of danger and the unnerving intensity of her gaze. He squeezed her hand. "This isn't over, Kaelen. Silas Vance will retaliate. But we'll face it. Together." He wasn't just saying it, he believed it. He looked into her eyes, seeing not just a maid or an heiress, but a fierce, brilliant, and deeply broken individual who had found an unlikely ally in him. Their bond was forged in crisis, tempered by mistrust, and now solidified by a shared, perilous victory. As the news anchors scrambled to cover the unprecedented corporate collapse of Aegis Solutions, Elias knew one thing for certain: his perfectly ordered life was irrevocably changed. The future was uncertain, fraught with peril, and undoubtedly still encased in a golden cage. But this time, it was a cage they would navigate together, two disparate souls bound by a shared secret, a common enemy, and a complicated, dangerous understanding. And Elias, for the first time in a very long time, felt truly alive, even as the shadow of Kaelen's silent, possessive devotion continued to deepen around him. The war was just beginning, and he was no longer a bystander, but an active participant, irrevocably entangled with his 3K Maid and the golden cage she had helped him build.